If you want to be a Harlem Globetrotter that gets paid in candy, what makes a good book so successful? Books like The Way of the Warrior Kid by Jocko Willink. Books like The Richest Man in Babylon, and my favorite, since I was a child, The Catcher in the Rye. What do these books have in common with you in getting out of debt? It's the story. The story that you're telling yourself as you're getting out of debt. And in this video, we'll go through some stories that could be keeping you from getting out of debt for the rest of your life. Now, this is extremely important for you to know because these could be stories that you're telling yourself and you don't even realize it. But they could also be stories that you're hearing from the other people around you and that are impacting you in ways that you don't even realize. And by the end of this video, you'll be more aware when these storylines enter into your life so that your bullshit radar goes off immediately and you can put a stop to these stories. Stories are powerful enough to make us feel motivated to get out there and do things, but they're also there to hold us back. Hold us back in such a way that it essentially keeps us running in place, or in some case, makes us worse off than we were when we even started. Believe it or not, you could be doing it to yourself. You could be telling yourself a story that continues to impact your life in such a way that you'll never get that one thing that you've always wanted. Now, some of these stories make me feel bad for myself after reading them or hearing them, and I've already paid off my freaking $82,000 in debt, and I've put myself in a strong financial position because of that. How messed up is that? So these stories are very impactful and very powerful to you in your life. The first story we'll talk about is the story of I'm addicted to spending money on things like bacon-covered quesadillas, or I'm addicted to spending money on a particular person. Now, addictions are nothing to mess around with, but if you think that you truly are addicted to something, then how do you stop that addiction? Well, you've got to remove that thing that triggers you and replace it with something else. So many people like to use this as an excuse when it comes to shopping. Like, I can't get out of debt because I can't stop from buying things for other people. Listen, I get it. Buying things for other people makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. It does for me too. But this is why you can't pay down debt? Going deeper into debt or doing something that keeps you in debt to make someone else happy isn't a noble thing to do. It just shows how out of touch you are with reality. Tell yourself, I like staying in debt, so this is why I'm shopping. If you didn't spend the money on that person, then would it ruin their life? If the answer is no, then there's no reason to buy that thing to continue to stay in debt. If this person knew that you buying this gift for them is going to keep you in debt for longer, do you really think they would appreciate the item as much? Probably not. It would most likely elicit some sort of negative emotion in them, and they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? I don't need the gift that bad. And if it brings out anything but a negative response, then that's the definition of a pretty shitty person in your life. So if you can't help yourself, then avoid that thing that triggers that particular emotion in you if you truly think that you're addicted to spending money in general. The next story you could be telling yourself that will keep you in debt forever is the story about how the people in your life have played a big role in your current debt situation. This could be from people like your friends, family members, your exes, or even your kids. There's some freaking shady people out there, okay, who don't care about the impact that their actions have on other people. If there isn't any legal action that you can take on to remedy this whole situation, yet you still use that as an excuse as to why you're still in debt, then you're never gonna win. Because you know one thing for sure. There is no possible way to prevent something that has already happened. Now the choice is yours, because you can either allow that negative experience to ruin your life for the next 10, 20 years, forever, however long you want to hold on to these debts, or you can put an end to it by sucking it up and paying off your debts as fast as possible, so that you can put this whole stupid thing behind you. Because the longer that you sit around and you dwell on what had happened while you're still accumulating all that stupid interest, the worse you're making the situation for yourself in the future. This next one is probably my favorite. And it's the story of everyone else has bad debt, so it doesn't make me feel so bad, so I don't have to deal with it. That thought of how much money you owe in student loans or credit card debt can be extremely depressing. I've been there, so I know exactly how you're feeling right now. You just want to crawl under some bed sheets and curl up into the fetal position like you just came out of your mom's belly, What? Sometimes it's even easier to accept the negative situation, your negative situation, by rationalizing it through comparing yourself to the other people in the same type of position. And this is easy to do, especially with all the student loan debt in America at, I don't know, $1.5 trillion. There's way more than enough people out there to compare yourself to. Over, I don't know, 40 million student loan borrowers? That might be the right math. I don't know how I just did that, but I just did it. The psychology world likes to refer to this as avoidance coping, because we avoid that stressful feeling at all costs. And it's a defense mechanism that us as human beings have learned over years and years of evolution. But you've got to keep in mind that stress is where we learn and grow the most. It's like a rubber band. I don't think I have a rubber band, okay? Or else I'd show you that if you stretch it out every day for a year straight, by the end of that year, the rubber band is gonna break. It's just going to, or it's just gonna be stretched out. It's gonna be stretched out more than it was originally when you started to rip on it. Actually, I have some tape here. This, if I did this, and if I kept just stretching constantly every single day, eventually it would end up longer than it originally did, or it would just snap. It would break because it would have to. There's a great fake Mark Twain quote that fits this perfectly. And it is, if you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. So why do all of these stories we're telling ourselves matter so much? Because the stories in our head are what create the future that we all want. If you want to be a Harlem Globetrotter that gets paid in candy, but you think it's such a ridiculous ask that you never even attempt to try out for the Harlem Globetrotters or even ask your employer if they'd be willing to pay you in candy or Sour Patch Kids in my case, then you'll never get it, of course. So quit telling yourself these stories, go ask for more candy, go put on your stupid Harlem Globetrotter jersey and start practicing your dribbling skills, okay? Because you can do anything in the world that you want as long as you stop telling yourself these stupid stories. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button and let me know in the comments down below your story that you've been telling yourself that's been keeping you in debt. And don't forget to pick up your free copy of the Debt-Free Prep Workbook while it's still available. Click around my head or somewhere down in the description to get that. Thank you so much for checking this out, folks. I hope you find some value in it. I can't talk. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Adios.